I think a lot of us may be familiar with the tales of a Wendigo creature. The SCP Foundation has a huge range of creatures and objects within its containment, but one of the creepiest is the Wendigo skull. SCP-323. Object class: Euclid. On the face of it, SCP-323 is just a skull of an unknown deer species with very large antlers. It does show some sun damage and some weather wear. It doesn't have a bottom jaw, that's missing. It does show some unusual patterns at the bottom of the skull, where it seems to have been carved out. Someone could place it upon the head. SCP-323, as a skull on its own, is capable of locomotion. It can move, it can turn itself to face someone who has come into the room, or it can move away from them very slowly with very small movements and vibrations. However, it has been known to actually lunge at people within its near vicinity, and has done that trying to break containment. When a human subject is put in with SCP-323, 74% of the individuals will try and place SCP-323 on their head. This is where it gets quite interesting. If their head will not fit into the hole that the SCP-323 has at the bottom of the skull, they will try and bash their head in to the point where it does fit into the skull itself. They all start experiencing very violent outbursts and cannibalistic urges. Within 10 minutes of placing SCP-323 on, the subject starts to go through massive physical changes. These involve rapid loss of body fat, loss of body hair, loss of any pigmentation, rupturing of the fingertips, abnormal tooth growth, blackening of the extremities similar to frostbite, and a huge increase in strength and pain tolerance. Along with this, increases their metabolism, which increases so dramatically that if the subject does not find food within 15 to 30 minutes at a time, they will actually starve to death. Now, of course, this food is obviously other humans, why wouldn't it be? And they are capable of speech still, but they only speak in some very native languages that have yet to be identified. SCP-323 was recovered from a lake reserve in Saskatchewan in Canada. As SCP-323, when it does have a subject, needs to kill humans to be able to survive. If it does starve within about 30 minutes, it's going to have to kill a lot of humans. This is how the SCP Foundation became aware of its whereabouts, because the murders were reported because of the huge amount of them. As long as the SCP is kept away from any sort of body, it's not really a huge risk. The special containment procedure for SCP-323 is that it's kept within a concrete containment cell, currently at Site 91, and the actual object itself is restrained within the centre of an armour-lined container. So this is to make sure that it cannot bash its way out, and as it's restrained, it will reduce the amount of movement and reduce the risk of a breach. The actual restraints themselves and the whole room are checked bi-weekly, just to make sure there's no risk of this. I think the design of Wendigos are so cool, and they're actually kind of terrifying when you think about it. Standard SCP, really. At one point in our lives, I think we've all wanted to make a wish to make everything better. But as we know, sometimes these wishes and wants don't exactly go to plan. SCP-924 is known as the coffee machine. This is no ordinary coffee machine. The object class Euclid. This coffee machine, although looks normal, is capable of dispensing any liquid that you could possibly request, regardless of the consequences. On the face of it, it just looks like a standard large coffee machine, except it has a full-size keyboard just below the LCD screen, so that you are able to request whatever you wanted from SCP-294. The coffee machine itself is capable of producing any type of known liquid, and sometimes even those liquids that are completely unknown, as long as it has been requested. As per usual to a coffee machine, once a request has been entered, it dispenses a small paper cup, which is then filled with whatever liquid that is desired. Some of the strange things that have been tested to see if SCP-294 can dispense them are a cup of gold, a cup of motor oil, some sulfuric acid, coffee, soda water, some of the normal things, and obviously some things that you'd never want to drink, like acid and oil. But the machine itself seems to be capable of making most of those liquids with no problem at all. And the paper cup, although you'd think it'd be quite flimsy, seems to be pretty much impenetrable to anything, as even with acid sitting in the cup, absolutely no problems at all. Now, as the Foundation is obviously, well, the Foundation, SCP-294 is actually kept on the Level 2 break room to save some money, so it is used as a standard coffee machine. But unfortunately, there was an incident where someone maybe took advantage a little bit of the actual machine. Incident 294-01. A doctor known as Dr. Joseph requested a cup of joe from the machine. The doctor himself then instantly started feeling very dizzy and collapsed. He was moved to the medical unit, but as the team were recovering him, they found that the cup that had been dispensed from SCP-294 actually did contain the blood and tissue and other bodily fluids of Dr. Joseph himself. Now, unfortunately, the idiot doctor made a full recovery, but because of that, the security level was upped to a level 2 security, and there are now 2 guards stationed at the SCP to make sure that only people with the correct clearance are able to use SCP-294. There have been some other tests on SCP-294 where it has been determined there are some things that are out of reach to the SCP, such as things that are presumed to be in other dimensions, and if something is taken by SCP-294, as with the example of Dr. Joseph, it is actually taken from somewhere and then dispensed. It's not just created by SCP-294, it is taken from somewhere. There's no real special containment procedure for this SCP, as they are just kept and used as a normal coffee machine, but just with that added security clearance. I find this one so interesting, but also quite believable, and it's just so funny that the SCP Foundation will use these SCPs to their advantage. It just shows you how really weird they are, and how not ethical they are at all. There's nothing much more terrifying than thinking that you will never be able to fall asleep again. The effects of sleep deprivation are absolutely terrifying, and SCP-966 causes all of these symptoms in a way to kill you. SCP-966 is also known as the Sleep Killer. Object Class: Euclid. SCP-966 are a group of predatory creatures that resemble quite tall, hairless humans with creepy, elongated faces and a mouth with needle-like teeth. They have large hands with really long claws, but these claws themselves aren't very sturdy and can break quite easily. Considering how scary they sound, they are actually quite a weak creature, only weighing in at about 30 kilos, with hollow bones and very small muscle masses. These creatures, known as the Sleep Killers, funnily enough, do not sleep. They just randomly stop for 3 to 5 minutes just to rest. The strangest, probably one of the creepiest things about SCP-966 is that they're not actually visible with the naked eye. They are only visible in infrared light, but when they're damaged or injured, they can be seen at slightly different wavelengths, so we can see them, different areas of them if they've been damaged or burned. But if they're completely normal and healthy, we can't actually see them with the human eye. Unsurprisingly, they do feed on medium-sized animals, which does include humans, and the way that they disrupt sleep so much in any of its victims is they actually emit a wave of energy towards the victim, which inhibits them from being able to get any REM sleep. So this is the sleep that us as humans need to be able to process things within our brain and to wake up lovely and fresh the next morning. Without REM sleep, we just can't function. Now these human-like creatures will stalk their victims quietly until the victim is completely taken over by sleep deprivation. They either collapse or just cannot move anymore because they are so tired, and your brain becomes so broken because of the sleep deprivation, and that is when they strike. They actually consume the prey as soon as they are immobilized. Probably the creepiest thing about SCP-966 is they are found all over the world. The Foundation currently has 2 full teams that their only job is to find these creatures and contain or neutralize them. The SCP Foundation currently has 4 specimens in containment at the moment. The Special Containment Procedure states that SCP-966 should be kept in a room of steel which is lined with lead. They're monitored with infrared cameras and everything is recorded. They currently have 3 male subjects and 1 female, and they're all given 20 kilograms of meat each every month. If there aren't any offspring from the group, they are actually taken away and terminated before anything else can happen. Now, apart from the fact that these guys look absolutely terrifying, the idea that something invisible will stalk you and make you basically an insomnia, but very severely, for quite a long period of time until you literally collapse and then it kills you. It just sounds so crazy and very believable, because think about some of the deaths that could have occurred because of sleep deprivation or because of unknown reasons that could be very easily explained because of SCP-966. I hope you guys enjoyed this one today. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed. Check out my playlist that just popped up at the top of the screen now if you want to see any of my other SCP videos. They are linked in object classes, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye!